everybody, how are you doing? I wanted to check with you and just share a little bit about what the Lord's been doing in our lives. Um, I don't know if my camera will work or not, but let's get started. Um, I want to talk to you about instant obedience. In the Bible, it says that we are to do what the Lord asks us to do, whether we agree with it or not, or whether we're not supposed to argue with Him and say, maybe later, or I'm not interested in. Lord, I don't really want to do that, but we do. Just like when your mom asked you to clean your room and you put off cleaning your room for a bit, it's the same thing. When we don't obey God, when He asks us in that still small voice to do something for Him, then we need to jump on and do it. And I've been guilty myself of not obeying Him. Since last November, or maybe it would have been October, the Lord's been working with me about instant obedience. I went to a woman's day retreat, a WOW retreat, and while I was there, the Lord answered so many things for me. But He asked me to do some things that I thought were really weird, and I was not really interested in following that. But while I was in the worship service, I felt bad because I'd gone by myself and didn't have any friends with me. But the Lord had a plan. If I would have gone with a bunch of friends, I would have had to take the time and pray with them. Because I love that. I'm a nurturer and I like to help people. I would have been praying with them and helping them out. But when I went by myself, I got into the worship and everything, and Cindy White walked up to me and said, "Somebody wants me to give this to you. The Lord prepared it before the service, and you pray to the Lord to find out what it means." And so I go to the back and I just look at it and see, and it's a little ruby heart, and it's a white rose, and then it's a little piece of a necklace. It was like a crown. And I thought, oh Lord, just tell me what that means, I want to know what it means. Well, while we were praying and everything, I went off by myself in the cordoned off area and was praying and worshiping the Lord and asking Him just to show me what I'm supposed to do. So then I sang a couple more songs, and then I went and sat in my seat and listened to the message, and it was really, really good. Well, it became prayer time, and this lady said, the Lord has a word for each person that's in this group, and I wanted to be the first one. So I hurry up, and I go down to the end, and I say, "Oh, Lord, come on." Well, evidently I got on the wrong end because they started on the other end, and it's like, I was disappointed because I wanted to be the first one. I wanted to get it in my head. I wanted it in my heart what the Lord wanted me to do. So I just stood there, and pretty soon there was a lot of people praying, and the Lord gave a word through this morning speaker for each person that was in the line. And I thought, my turn's coming. So I said, "Okay, Lord, whatever you want me to do." I was so humbled at that time that I just wanted to do what He wanted me to do. So I felt in my soul that I was supposed to get down on my knees. Fine, I'll get down on my knees. So I get down on my knees and I just praying, and pretty soon I felt like He was saying, "Lay down." And I was thinking, "Lord, I don't want to lay down. That's embarrassing. There's people all over. I don't want to lay down. I don't know if they do that here. I don't want to lay down." And I felt like He said, "You lay down and I'll let you know what's in that, that heart means, what that heart box means." So pretty soon I laid down. I was laying there and I was just praying. I was being quiet and praising the Lord and asking Him to just reveal in me what I wanted Him to take everything out of my life that was hindering me from my walk with Him. And it was like obedience. You need to obey. Pretty soon He said, "Put your arms out like you're on a cross. I was face down. Put them out like this." And it's like, "Oh man, Lord, that's really embarrassing. What am I going to do? They're going to see me. I'm going to be like that." And so I did. And I kept waiting. And He said, "Don't get up until they come to you. You just lay there." But Lord, they're going to lunch. They're done praying. Pretty soon they walked past me. So a couple of them stepped on my hand. And they kept walking, and I was like, "Oh Lord, they've forgotten about me. They think that I'm just by myself praying." Pretty soon somebody put a prayer shawl on me, and they just walked off and were praying for other people, walking around me. And finally they came, and I said, "Oh Lord, thank you." And I said, the Lord said if I laid here and was obedient, that He would reveal to me what it meant in that heart. And she says, well, what's in the heart? And I told her, and the Lord revealed several things, about I'm beautiful, I'm clean, new life, I'm precious jewel to Him, I'm royalty, I'm one of His royal children because I am a child of the King. I am royalty, and that He loved me more than anything. He loved me more than I could ever imagine, and because of my obedience, He was going to put more things on me and let me do more things. Well, later on I got to sit and have some lunch, and later on during the thing, they asked if anybody wanted to share. I was able to share part of my testimony about not being able to forgive myself for my past, not being able to forgive other people for things that happened in my past and what they caused, and decisions I made, because I wanted to go along with the thing. I didn't want to rock the boat or anything. But so I was sharing about that, and God allowed me to pray with a bunch of ladies that story resonated with them. And that was the beginning of Cindy White kind of taking me under her wing. I called her and I asked her, I just kept praying, Lord, help me. The Lord told me to call Cindy White. Call her. I sent her a message, and then I called her and ended up getting together for a lunch and had a good visit. And it was awesome because I needed someone to steer me, and I needed someone to pour some knowledge and some experience into me. And the Lord opened the door that I could step out in faith and believe more and use the gifts that God had given me. But all of it revolved around obedience. Later on, the Lord opened the door. Cindy came for a women's retreat at our church, a day retreat, and the Lord really moved, and I was able to pray with ladies. And each time she stretched me a little bit more, had me do this or that or the other thing. And it was awesome. Then they had a women's retreat in February, I think, February or March, might have been February. And I went, and the Lord hit me again with disobedience and instant obedience. The Lord had put a burden on my husband's heart to go to Pateras to help rebuild. And we were kind of committed at a Bible camp for a while. We're construction missionaries, and we don't leave a place until the Lord confirms that we're supposed to leave. So we had gone for a summer, and we had stayed there for 3 years, almost 3 years. But Terry saw, about the fires last summer, and he said, I need to go. That's something I wanted to do. It's been a dream in his life to go and help rebuild after disasters like hurricanes and help people to rebuild that have lost everything. He wants to give them hope and come alongside them. And so he kept saying to me, we're going to go. And I thought, yeah, right. The Lord has to provide you. Yeah, I don't think you're hearing right. I don't think it's time. And I said, we need a miracle if it's going to happen. And I kept kind of putting him off. He says, no, by April 1st, you're going to be about ready to give your notice. We're going to be out of here May 1st. That scared me to death. I was so comfortable. And in the last months, from January through March, the Lord had really worked on me about not being comfortable, not to be in there, just stay into something because it's comfortable. He had me finally walk away from children's ministries, which I love, but he had already, brought my replacements in, and I had just stayed every 6 weeks helping do the parties and stuff because I love kids. But God had already made it plain that He had moved me into women's ministries. He had turned my life upside down about a year and a half before that, when He had me speak at a women's retreat over by Raymond with some old church friends. And so what do you do when God turns your life upside down? You obey. And that's a tough thing, to just set things aside. So the Lord was having me walk out of children's ministries and focus on women's ministries. And also we had a revealed prayer, and He was stretching me, getting me to speak in tongues more in the service, and he was teaching me how to interpret or give a word of wisdom. And that was tough because that's embarrassing. What if nobody says anything? What if you stutter? And I do when I get upset a little bit, or I kind of hesitate and stutter. And sometimes my brain doesn't work as fast as my mouth, or my mouth stops, and I kind of and I was afraid of that. But the more I stepped out, if you want to do something like this, if you want the Lord to really move in your life, you need to learn instant obedience, because he has things for you to do. And if you don't do it instantly, God will find somebody else to do it, and you'll be disobeying God. And if you delay, that's disobedience too. Well, back to the story. I was at this woman's retreat, and she was talking about pregnancy, and how a ministry was like a pregnancy. You plan for it, you're expecting it, you love it. There's growing pains when you're in a ministry. And so she was talking about that. During that time, she kept talking about it, and the Lord was convicting me. My heart was just beaten. And I had just said to my friend, Tammy, I said, oh, this would be a nice retreat. God has worked with me with so much stuff in my life. This will just be a time for me to enjoy and maybe pray for a few women. She laughed at the end because God just hammered me. She was talking about women's, labor, and how when the labor comes, you want to stop the labor, or you want it to hurry up and get over with. You want that baby. Well, I was trying to stop the labor because I was afraid to step out in faith with Terry, my husband, to go to Pateras and help build, because I didn't want to leave 2 jobs. I didn't want to leave my women's ministries. I didn't want to leave Cindy White and the opportunities she had for me. I didn't want to, I was comfortable. And so I repented, and I went home and told my husband, I am so sorry. We will leave May 1st. I'm ready. And he goes, really? You are? And he was just amazed at the change in me. And we planned everything together. God worked out so many things. I gave my notice at my jobs. I was done with them by April the 17th and April the 27th. And then we pulled out, I think it was April 30th or something like that. But we ended up in Pateras on April the 4th, or May the 4th, because I wanted to go camping before. We wanted to take some time to pray and just enjoy each other before we got into the work. But God provided a job for me before we even got here. God has provided for all of our needs. He's provided for places for us to stay. He is just awesome. He's provided new friends that we feel like we are here to help. And I just want to give God the glory. If you have trouble with instant obedience, pray for the Lord to help you with that. It's hard, but it'll be the best thing you ever do. Lord Jesus, I just pray for each person that's listening to this right now. Help them not to be comfortable. Help them to stretch themselves, and help them to enter into instant obedience with you, Lord. It's hard sometimes to obey when you don't want to, when you want to stay in the